Hey Dad, could I let you film me your Parshat video this week?
All right, but only if you're quiet. And no fighting.
The spies come back from their fateful mission to the Holy Land, and 10 of the 12 bring back a bad report. 2 disagree. The 2 dissenters are Joshua, Yehoshua, and Caleb. Interestingly, before they left on their mission, Moshe made a point of changing Yehoshua's name from Hosea to Yehoshua as an implied prayer to protect him. Also interesting is that during their mission, Caleb and Caleb alone went to Hebron to pray at the tomb of the patriarchs. So now we have some questions. Why did Moshe change Yehoshua's name but not Caleb's? And why didn't Yehoshua join Caleb when he went on his prayer trip? I saw a beautiful answer as follows. Moshe was concerned about Yehoshua's physical safety. He was worried if the other spies came up with a bad plan, they'd know Yehoshua would never go along with it because he was Moshe's guy. He was Moshe's apprentice. So Moshe was worried that the other spies might attack Yehoshua. So he felt that he needed that implied prayer to protect him physically. Caleb didn't need that protection. He was one of the guys. In fact, the entire time during the mission, those other 10 spies assumed that Caleb was with them and was going to go along with their report. They were shocked at the end of the mission when Caleb got up and contradicted them. And similarly, only Caleb needed to go to Hebron to pray because he was worried about peer pressure. He was worried that because he was one of the guys hanging out with those other 10 spies, they might influence him, they might sway him. So he went to the tomb of the patriarchs to pray to God for help so that he could stay strong. Yehoshua didn't have that worry because he was separate and apart from the other spies. So there was no peer pressure. But that still leaves one lingering question. Why didn't Moshe also pray for Caleb's spiritual protection? And the answer is he couldn't. Because although you can pray for someone else's physical safety, you can't pray for their spiritual survival. Because your spirituality, your connection to God, your Judaism, that's in your hands and your hands alone. Caleb realized that. He was on his own and he had to go pray. And we, so many of us, make a mistake. Sometimes during our entire lives. Instead of taking responsibility for our connection to Judaism and to God and our familiarity with Jewish texts, we blame our lack of connection to God and our unfamiliarity with Jewish texts on everybody else. We blame our parents. We blame our upbringing. We blame our family circumstances. We blame our neighbors, our friends, our community. We blame our educators, but we don't ever point the finger at ourselves. And that's such a shame because nothing that we could possibly encounter will be more rich and deep and challenging and fascinating and rewarding than our Judaism and our Jewish texts. And nowadays, we've become so much more sophisticated in so many areas of our lives. I remember as a kid, I would watch a baseball game, and the only thing I had to worry about when tracking a hitter was batting average and home runs and RBIs. Now, to pay attention to a hitter, you've got to track on-base percentage, slugging percentage, OPS, WAR, exit velocity, launch angles, and a dozen other newfangled metrics. The list never ends. And yet, when it comes to our Judaism, we're stuck at a juvenile, second grade level, still back in that classroom with that second grade Hebrew school educator who failed to inspire us. And it's all his fault, instead of taking some blame and shouldering some responsibility on our own. It's a shame that many more Jews can identify the famous boxing promoter in this short video clip in the foreground than the famous rabbi walking behind them in the background.
I'm used to the name calling, so I had a natural affinity.
So I ask you, what is your launch angle? When will you step up to the plate and say, I'm responsible for myself. I'm responsible to get closer to God and to get more familiar with those beautiful Jewish texts.
Hey Dad, good video, but what's your launch angle?